Would you put on your video? Okay. Okay. The Orthodox Mission Church of Arizona, serving Coolidge and Florence. It's the third week of Lent, and today we just finished pre-sanctified liturgy. We're going to do one of our Lenten speakers. Stavros Emery agreed to speak. His topic is the Holy Light. As hopefully you can see the miracle of the light of the resurrection at the tomb of Christ, the tomb of Jesus. So I have to go to visit someone that just went in the hospital today. If you'd keep her in prayer, her name's Catherine. And may you have a blessed time, and may an angel be assigned to you to help you in your presentation. All right, well, God bless you. Have a good night, and I'll see you very soon.
I'm actually gonna turn the light on, and when we use the video, then we'll turn the light off for the video. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Wait, am I supposed to press play over here? No, we're good. So, good evening. Today's topic is the Holy Fire, the miracle of the light of the resurrection at the tomb of Jesus Christ. Straight off, I've never been to the Holy Land. I've never been to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, but maybe some of you might have. Has anybody in the crowd been to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre? You have? Beautiful. And Elizabeth, in fact, it has, for this presentation, she brought, you want to tell us what you brought? Okay.
The Holy Light. It came in 2017 down in Tucson. It was made this across. So I got a candle, and then I took it home, and then it's like been with me since 2017.
So
God has allowed me, for some reason, to keep it. It's I don't want to say it's a chore, but it's not a work to keep that lit. It really is. But I am blessed. I feel like I'm so blessed to have it.
So she was saying, when you were in Tucson, 2017, the Holy Light came to you, and since then you've been keeping it going. And here we have it for the presentation. So thank you very much, Elizabeth.
And I don't think it's been back since. I don't think
Well, glory to God for and you have been. What year did you go?
I actually went with that.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, like 2012 or 13.
So if you have anything that you want to share as I give the presentation from.
Nothing like that.
I mean, we'll be talking a little bit about the church and a little bit about the miracle of the Holy Light. So, has anybody, for those of you here, has anybody not heard of this miracle? Raise your hand if you've not heard of this miracle. Oh, beautiful. Okay, great. So I have a few videos. This is what these first two pages are. For those of you who might be interested in reading, I have three books here that you might be interested in. The first one is called Holy Fire, the Miracle of the Light of the Resurrection at the Tomb of Jesus. 70 historical accounts from the 4th to the 6th. This is an amazing book. I read it, I think, last year. There's so much history, so much to learn from this first book. The second one is I Saw the Holy Light by Archimandrite Sava Archilaos. And this other one is from Bishop Avzentios, The Holy Fire, Orthodox Pascha. There may be others, but these are the three ones I'm familiar with. And here is two of them. So if you ever looking for a book on the Holy Light. These two. Okay, so one of the great miracles that takes place year after year in the Orthodox Church is the miracle of the Holy Fire on Holy Saturday. Many Western non-Orthodox Christians are unaware of this incredible annual miracle, and I found that with inquirers and catechumens to the Orthodox Church, many are often interested to learn more about it. So usually, if my former parish, as the catechumen class, as we were approaching Holy Week, we definitely set aside one of the catechumen classes to talk about the miracle of the Holy Fire. This presentation will share some information about the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and the miracle of the Holy Fire. Okay. The descent of the Holy Fire at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre each Holy Saturday is an awe-inspiring event that has been taking place for more than 1.5 millennia. Each year at noon on Holy Saturday, a light descends on the tomb of Jesus, the Holy Sepulchre, and ignites the vigil lamp, the holy oil lamp, in the tomb's interior. While at the same time a blue incandescence from the same light diffuses throughout the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, illuminating the entire area and spontaneously igniting other lamps and candles around the church. The event has been recorded for at least 17 centuries. Historical documentation of pilgrims, etc., to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The light is identified with the same light that radiates resurrection. The holy light appeared for the Christ on the evening of Holy Pascha, according to the liturgical calendar, on the date of April 5th, AD 33 Julian calendar. Today, 2 millennia later, the same light continues to appear at the same place, inside the tomb of Jesus, but also outside of it, during the service of Holy Saturday. The Holy Light is an event that has unfailingly been repeated for 17 centuries in a manner that is historically recorded. And at this point, I'm going to share 3 short videos.
Do you want us to shut the light?
Yeah. So right now is a good time. We'll turn the light off for this video part. Okay, here's the first video.
The Holy Sepulchre announced the resurrection of the Lord, which here, as it happened for Catholics.
I think you want to expand.
I'm trying to get the audio. Let me get the audio.
The light up only to the Orthodox.
Yes.
No one else. They try many times, they can't.
Does that seem to be working or not?
It sounded good to
It
me.
did? Okay.
Last time tried the coffee.
Mhm.
It says it didn't. Like that.
Okay. So, well, here's the volume. There we go. Okay.
Okay.
Christ is risen, he is truly risen. At the first sparks of the sacred fire, the cries of the Orthodox faithful inside the Basilica of the Holy Sepulchre announced the resurrection of the Lord, which here, as it happened for Catholics the previous week, is announced on Saturday. Also this year, the faithful who follow the Julian calendar celebrated the Holy Triduum and Easter 1 week later than the Catholics. On Holy Thursday, they participated in the rite of the washing of the feet in the square of the Basilica of the Holy Sepulchre. On Good Friday, after retracing Via Dolorosa Via Crucis, they gathered to participate in the evocative ceremony of Christ's funeral. A cloth covered with red petals, symbolizing the dead Christ on the cross, was carried in procession from Calvary, passing by the stone of the anointing to the tomb, all in prayer until the door of the sepulchre was closed. From Saturday, a multitude of faithful poured toward the Basilica of the Holy Sepulchre. Every year it is the most awaited moment, that of the ceremony of sacred fire, which kicks off the Easter celebrations. The flame, according to the Orthodox tradition, generates itself in a miraculous way by divine will, right on the stone of the tomb that kept the body of Jesus. The patriarchs of the Orthodox churches make 3 laps around the wayside shrine of the Anastasis. The Greek Orthodox patriarch enters with the Armenian patriarch the only witness who remains in the antechamber. The lights of the basilica are turned off, and Theophilus III invokes the sign of the resurrection from heaven. A few minutes pass, the sacred fire is lit once again and explodes with joy. The patriarch comes out with bundles of lighted candles. The light spreads quickly in the basilica, reaches the streets and the houses of Jerusalem, and even further, all the Orthodox churches which are waiting for its arrival in order to celebrate Easter Vigil.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the volume fixed. But is this supposed to be plugged in over here or here? We tested it before coming out.
Well, I think there's also a volume here. But on your video, oh, let me say this.
You know what? Let me unplug it and plug it back in and maybe.
Before that was plugged in here. So this,
Oh,
we can plug it into the
okay.
the speakers. Plug them into this.
Want to make sure the next video that people can actually hear it.
There we go.
Okay.
And then you don't want that in the way because it's going to block. But hopefully that'll be better.
Okay. Hopefully the audio is a little bit better just for the next one.
Little side, little.
These speakers really are quite loud. I'm not sure why they're not really, what I'm doing wrong right now.
Every year in Jerusalem, on the eve of Orthodox Easter Sunday, Jesus Christ shows up inside the Church of the Holy Sepulchre during the ceremony of Holy Fire. Christ is present, but only the blue incandescent light of his eternal glory is visible. Thousands of Christians from all over the world have traveled to Jerusalem and cram inside the church on Holy Saturday, waiting in anticipation for the light which will turn to fire on a holy oil lamp that is sitting on the rock bed where Christ was laid upon his death. Occasionally, the light of Christ will spontaneously light candles of individual pilgrims in the church, or even candles that are hanging outside the edicule. During the ceremony, the Greek Orthodox patriarch enters the shrine which is built over top the cave tomb, and kneeling beside the bed where Christ was laid, he prays an ancient prayer that has been passed down to him. When the holy light turns to fire on the lamp, he lights 2 sets of 33 candles each that he's brought into the tomb with him, and which commemorate Christ's life. With the candles lit, he exits the edicule, and the crowded church erupts in celebration. Christian pilgrims then light the candles from the patriarchs, and the fire spreads throughout the church, throughout the city of Jerusalem, and literally around the world. Local Christians who attend the ceremony will carry the flame to their homes and churches in Jerusalem. Special emissaries will carry the flame in special boxes on planes back to their home countries, where the fire will then spread from church to church. What's even crazier than this ceremony is that most Christians in the West have never heard of it. His name is Nate Carden. And by the grace of God, I've been able to attend the ceremony both in 2017 and again in 2018. I've spent the last 3 years of my life researching the history of this miracle in this most important of churches. And I'm convinced that not knowing about this ceremony as a Christian is the equivalent of a Muslim having never heard of the annual pilgrimage to the Kaaba in Mecca. The miracle of holy fire only parallels the greater miracle of Christ's resurrection from the dead. I believe in the miracle of holy fire because I believe in the evidence that Christ was crucified on a rock called Golgotha, and that he was buried in a cave tomb that couldn't hold him, and that both are found within this same church. Learning the history of the holy fire ceremony and the church in which it happens will make Christ's resurrection as real to you as if it only happened yesterday. It has for me.
Okay, and one more.
Está aquí y que sa απόλυτο δίκιο βάζει 2018 στο παλάγιο τάμπο. Είναι
Okay, so I think it was loud enough for everyone in the room, but for those of you online, forgive the volume wasn't as loud as I wanted it to be. Okay, so, and of course, for those of you who are familiar with this miracle, as we're in Holy Week, we're just waiting on Holy Saturday for all the pilgrims who are there to share, upload all their videos on YouTube and so forth, so we can watch the annual yearly miracle from the pilgrims who were there. So I wanted to, before starting from chronologically from like the very beginning, the earliest miracles, I wanted to make sure that I had enough time to talk about two of the very well-known, amazing miracles in modern times. And I'm going to start with Holy Saturday, 1579. The column that was split by the holy fire. Have you guys heard of this miracle? Okay, so on Holy Saturday, 1579, this is a time when the Ottomans are in control of, or in the governorship, or governing. So on Holy Saturday, 1579, according to the church chronicles of the city of Jerusalem, the Turkish governors forbade the Greek patriarch and the Orthodox faithful to enter the Church of the Holy Sepulchre for the customary rite of the Holy Fire. The crowd of the faithful, along with Patriarch Sophronius IV, remained in the church courtyard throughout the entire day and even after the sun had set. Patriarch Sophronius was in his first year of his reign. It was the first time he would perform the most important rite of the year, but the Turks deprived him of his legal right. The patriarch stood in prayer at the left side of the church doorway near a column, and suddenly, when night began to fall, the column split and the holy fire leapt from its interior. The patriarch immediately lit his candle and passed the holy fire to the faithful. Within a few minutes, the sacred flame had spread to all those present, and the courtyard of the church was illuminated. The awe-struck Turkish guards then opened the doors of the church, and the patriarch, along with the rejoicing faithful, poured in towards the Holy Sepulchre. You can still see it in the doorway. This is 1579. So every year since, all the pilgrims could see this split column where the patriarch received the holy light when he was forbidden by the Turkish authorities to enter. But then the guards were awestruck and then allowed the patriarch and the faithful to enter. There's also an eyewitness in the courtyard. He was a Muslim. The Arab Emir Tunum was in the church courtyard and was an eyewitness of this miracle. When he saw the lightning of the column, when he saw the igniting of the column, he realized the truth of the miracle of the holy fire and confessed to his co-religionists the power of Jesus Christ. After he quarreled with them, his confession became the cause of the order of his execution, and subsequently for his body to be burnt. Today he is venerated as an official holy martyr of the Orthodox Church. And I actually was able to find some photographs for this story. Sure. Right there. Thank you. So here is the column by the doorway, and this is the author of that one book I told you about. He's standing next to the column. Here is a close-up of the column. The column was split. Received the holy light when the Turkish authorities were saying they're not permitted to enter the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and they continued praying for a miracle, and God split open the column, and to the rejoicing of the faithful, the patriarch and the faithful, they received once again the holy light. And then here's an icon, and you can see behind him, this is the door to the Holy Sepulchre. He's in the courtyard, and the column split, and the fire's coming out of the column. And this is the holy martyr. Is it Tunum? Tunum, the holy martyr Tunum. So this is one of the amazing accounts in the history of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and this miracle that's been taking place for every year since Christ's resurrection. The second one I want to tell you of more contemporary times is in 1926, Holy Saturday, 1926. The book I Saw the Holy Light is about this account. Monk Mitrophanes, he was originally from the Pontus region. It was a difficult early years, and he he escaped slavery, I believe, and then from Diyarbakir, and then he escaped. He says, now that I have freedom, I want to see I want to visit the Holy Land, visit the tomb of Christ, and be a pilgrim to the Holy Land. He goes to the Holy Land. In 1925, Mitrophanus was ordained a monk and appointed by Patriarch Damianos as warden of the Holy Sepulchre. In this capacity, he participated in the rite of the Holy Fire on Easter 1925. For many months, so his first experience was 1925. But afterwards, for many months, he was possessed by questions and doubts relating to the true nature of the miracle. His faith had been shaken, and he wondered if it was indeed a true miracle. The answer to his questions came a few months later on Holy Saturday, 1926, when he managed to hide in a niche in the ceiling of the Holy Sepulchre, from where he could watch what exactly went on in its interior. He confessed that when he was a 25-year-old young man, he had become possessed by an uncontrollable desire to see with his own eyes everything that occurred in the sepulchre at the moment when the holy fire descended. He says, I had to see, like another doubting Thomas, with my own eyes, exactly what takes place inside the sepulchre in order to believe. So I'm going to read to you some of the accounts from this story. So one day, as he was cleaning the dome of the ceiling inside the sepulchre, he discovered a tiny niche that barely accommodated the body of a grown man. It was the only place where he could hide in order to watch the descent of the holy fire without being seen. At midnight on Holy Saturday morning, monk Mitrophanus set his risky plan into practice. He stayed in the crypt the entire night. For 12 hours, he remained stationary and silent. According to the custom, at 12 noon, the door of the tomb was unsealed. Approximately 1.5 hours later, the Greek patriarch entered. This is what he says in the book. I saw the holy light. Then I discerned the figure of the patriarch who stooped in order to enter the life-receiving tomb. At just that moment, when my agony was at its peak, in the deadly silence in which I could only hear my own breathing, suddenly I heard a slight hissing. It sounded like a light gust of wind, and immediately I saw an unforgettable sight: a blue light filling the entire sacred space of the life-receiving tomb. How restless was that blue light! How restless was that blue light by which I clearly saw the patriarch, whose face was bathed in perspiration. And as he was illuminated by that light, he began to read the prayers. And immediately the blue light began to transform into a pure white light, just like that of the transfiguration of Christ. Then that pure white light transformed into a bright sphere like the sun that remained motionless over the patriarch's head. Then I saw the patriarch holding bunches of 33 candles. And as he slowly raised his hands, the holy lamp and the 4 bunches of his candles ignited automatically. Just then the bright sphere disappeared. My eyes filled with tears, and my entire body was on fire. This is the narrative of monk Mitrophanus about his bold act on that Holy Saturday, 1926. He is the only eyewitness who, without being entitled, experienced the descent of the holy fire inside the actual tomb of Christ. There's more. The feeling of joy and completeness felt by monk Mitrophanus when he set eyes on the holy fire was reduced in the days that followed to a feeling of sadness and guilt. He was tormented by intense guilt for his rash act and the lies he used in order to achieve his purpose. A few days later, he decided to confess his act to the patriarch himself, who already knew that someone was hidden above him because monk Mitrophanus had unintentionally switched on the flashlight and the light had betrayed his presence. Patriarch Damianos, after hearing Father Mitrophanes' confession in amazement, said that he himself had seen absolutely nothing of the miracle Mitrophanes described. Subsequently, he forbade the monk to tell his story for as long as he remained on the patriarchal throne. And in turn, he confessed to him exactly what he experienced each time he entered the interior of the tomb. The dialogue they had was recalled by Mitrophanes as follows. So as soon as the Holy Hierarch heard my confession, he was surprised. His face suddenly changed color. His eyes showed an unprecedented discomposure. He abruptly rose from his seat and with a voice filled with fright told me, "How did you dare such an act? To satisfy my doubt, to cast out from my soul through faith disbelief. For that reason and for all the rest I did, I wanted to confess. I could not take the guilt of my conscience." Then, subsequently, "What did you see, my child?" he asked me. "I saw, Holy Father, the holy fire." And with every detail I described to him all that I saw. The Holy Father constantly crossed himself and praised God. And with tears in his eyes, he said to me, "I, my child, saw absolutely nothing. What I am about to trust you with, you shall never mention until I die. When, through the grace of God, I'm honored with the task of receiving the holy fire from the tomb of the resurrected Christ, the following happens to me. If I have a calm conscience and nothing is troubling me, which could have the strength to overshadow my serenity and devotion to God, I am consumed by an inexplicable joy. As soon as I enter the Holy Sepulchre and open the Holy Book and read a few lines from the prayers and raise the bunches of candles, then the holy lamp and the candles ignite. If, however, tranquility of soul does not accompany me, and I am not sufficiently prepared and devoted to God, I do not have that inexplicable joy. Then, as soon as I bend to enter the sacred tomb, I see the sacred lamp is already lit. This is what Patriarch Damianos confided to Monk Mitrophanes in the year 1926. At that point, he had already served 30 times as head celebrant of the Holy Fire ceremony since he ascended the patriarchal throne in 1897. So again, if you want to read this, I saw the holy light. There's also in the book, the first book I told you. So Christ's decision to send the light of the resurrection on Holy Saturday is not at all dependent upon the faith or spiritual condition of any patriarch. The only thing that depends on the patriarch's faith himself will experience. As Patriarch Damianos says, the holy light was not visible to him every year inside the tomb. The same applies to those present outside the tomb. The author of Holy Fire, Haris Skarlakidis, wrote that he has been present at the rite 15 times, but saw the holy fire clearly only twice, and for just fractions of a second. The miracle takes place without fail every year, but it is not a standardized event that is repeated or is shown to entertain spectators. As has already been mentioned, many of those present do not see anything in particular, while others experience the miracle in a special way and always by divine dispensation. It's divine providence. Divine providence that the monk Mitrophanes saw the holy light and Patriarch Damianos did not see the sin. At this point, I want to show you another. I wish I could make it louder. So for everyone here, you're able to hear. I'm sorry for those online.
Is that one of the lights? And the volume on it?
Well, I'll try that. Okay, so let me get the video ready. Okay, this is the same person from the previous video. His interview with Patriarch Theophilos III.
short history of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and give you a brief explanation of what the miracle of holy fire is. In the next historical section, I'll start to cover more testimonies of people that experienced the miracle of holy fire, and you'll want to know this. The miracle of holy fire in Greek and many other languages is translated as the miracle of holy life, which I think gives a better explanation of what the miracle really is. The real miracle is the blue incandescent light that flashes inside.
So that's all.
No, you gotta,
Oh, okay.
like the actual computer setting, over here, send. And then give you the option, no, you need to figure out how to, where the sound is coming out of. So maybe go to all settings.
I had this working just fine before. And almost.
Let's try this.
Oh, is that? Let's try that.
Yeah, I switched it to speakers.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Inside the church that settles on the tomb
Still not on.
and then eventually turns to fire on the Holy Lamb. So it's not just the fire that the light that appears.
There's enough open.
Should plug the speakers over here or over here?
On over here.
Okay.
Appears is the light of Christ's resurrection, which means that Christ is present. It's a miracle that happens every year in the same manner at the same time. And
So it should be going to.
in the same place.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not really worried.
For those online, sorry.
I don't know why it's not recognizing.
Fire.
Sounds better already.
It's present?
Yeah, no, it sounds better already.
Take it.
Oh, wait. I think it is coming out of these. It's just not that loud.
Okay, thank you.
Let me pause our history of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and give you a brief
It's not out of it, it's just very
in the
quiet.
next historical section. I'll start to cover testimonies of people that experienced the miracle
Is
of
there a
holy
way to
fire.
put it on
You
the
don't want to know what it is. The miracle of holy fire in Greek and many other languages is translated as the miracle.
Can you
of holy light,
guys can hear?
which I think
Okay.
gives a better explanation of what the miracle really is. The real miracle is the blue incandescent light that
So you guys can hear, but the online can't hear, so apologies for that.
flashes inside the church that settles on the tomb and that eventually turns to fire on the Holy Lamb. So it's not just the fire pit. The light that appears is the light of Christ's resurrection, which means that Christ is present. It's a miracle that happens every year in the same manner, at the same time, and in the same place. The miracle has been documented to go back at least 13 centuries. So what does it feel like to go into the tomb and pray and see the candles light on fire?
Well, it's a very personal event.
I can't believe the sleep apnea bill exists. I was literally packing into a box, not knowing.
And this is part of the process. It's just have this custom. Well, we hope this life of the church. And this is
And then somewhere that the apostle Peter, if he ran this good, all
that's so much. And this is very exciting. So, resurrection.
good notice the night before this great example.
No, I don't think so. He's the and this is what's important. People know resurrection and gives the faith with the remain, right? And for us, this is the foundation. Okay? Is a special way, so this is why there is preparation before that. And this 40 days are probably last week, which is called the week of great week of the week of passions. And therefore, you see,
The website holyfire.org has some great information regarding the miracle. It lists a transcribed interview with the Greek Orthodox Patriarch Theodoros, who served as Patriarch in Jerusalem from 1980 to 2000. In the interview, Patriarch Theodoros says this: "I entered the tomb and kneeled in holy fear in front of the place where Christ lay after his death and where he rose again from the dead. I find my way through the darkness towards the inner chamber, in which I fall on my knees. Here I say certain prayers that have been handed down to us through the centuries, and having said them, I wait. Sometimes I may wait a few minutes, but normally the miracle happens immediately after I have said the prayers. From the core of the very stone on which Jesus lay, an indefinable light pours forth. It usually has a blue tint, but the color may change and take many different hues. It cannot be described in human terms. The light rises out of the stone as mist may rise out of a lake. It almost looks as if the stone is covered by a moist cloud, but it is light. This light each year behaves differently. Sometimes it covers just the stone, while other times it gives light to the whole sepulchre, so that people who stand outside the tomb and look into it will see it filled with light. The light does not burn. I have never had my beard burnt in all the 16 years that I've been patriarch in Jerusalem and have received the holy fire. The light is of a different consistency than normal fire that burns in an oil lamp. At a certain point, the light rises and forms a column in which the fire is of a different nature, so that I am able to light my candles from it. When I thus have received the flame on my candles, I go out and give the fire first to the Armenian patriarch and then to the Coptic. Hereafter, I give the flame to all people present in the church." This article goes on to explain that while the patriarch is inside the edicule, kneeling in front of the stone, there is darkness, though far from silence outside the edicule. One hears a rather loud mumbling, and the atmosphere is very tense. When the patriarch comes out with 2 candles lit and shining brightly in the darkness, a roar of jubilee resounds in the church. It also notes that, quote, "The holy light is not only distributed by the archbishop, but also operates by itself. It is emitted from the holy sepulchre with a hue completely different from that of natural light. sparkles, it flashes like lightning, it flies like a dove around the tabernacle of the Holy Sepulchre, and lights up unlit lamps of olive oil hanging in front of it. It whirls from one side of the church to the other. It enters some of the chapels inside the church, as for instance the Chapel of the Calvary, at a higher level than the Holy Sepulchre, and lights up the little lamps there. It lights up also the candles of certain pilgrims. In fact, there are some very pious pilgrims who, every time they attended this ceremony, noticed that their candles lit up on their own accord. His divine light also presents some peculiarities. As soon as it appears, it has a bluish hue and does not burn. At the first moments of its appearance, if it touches the face or the mouth or the hands, it does not burn. This is proof of its divine and supernatural origin. Eris Scarlacides confirms this. He says that the holy light is not a light that comes and goes, nor is it a light that wells out of Jesus' tomb for a few minutes on Holy Saturday and then is gone. The light of the resurrection, as St. Gregory Palamas says, is, quote, never absent from the tomb, though it is not visible to most, end quote. The holy light is always present at the Holy Sepulchre, not to illumine the marble and the rocks, but to illumine mystically and invisibly the souls of those who approach the tomb of Jesus with reverence. This is also what I have heard from friends of mine who have participated in the ceremony with their wives and significant others. One close friend told me that his wife was of Greek origin, but not a practicing Christian. Like many in the West, she had serious doubts about religion in general and Christianity in particular. She went with him to the Holy Fire, who had studied in Jerusalem and was a practicing Orthodox Christian. My friend had secured the best spots in the church for him and his wife, right in front of the tomb. The Holy Fire descended as usual, and the patriarch exited the tomb and lit the candles of the faithful. My friend wasn't particularly moved, but when he looked over at his wife, she was sobbing uncontrollably. When she later regained composure, she told my friend that she had asked God to show her that he was real. At the moment when the Holy Fire appeared, before the patriarch exited the edicule with the lit candles, she saw a bright light bursting out of the edicule. It was visible to her, but not to my friend. This is entirely consistent with what I know of God. He gives mercy equally, yet differently depending on the need of those who approach him. Eris Scarlacides, who has studied this ceremony for at least half his life and has been present every year for at least the last 20 years, says the following. Having studied the evidence and been a witness to the events, my understanding is that the experience and perception of the holy light by some of those present does not only depend on their faith, but is a result of the effect of divine providence, which for some reason entitles each one to experience something different. Christ may present his luminous glory to an individual regardless of the degree of his or her spiritual progress, even to an unbeliever, for reasons only he knows. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed watching it, head on over to JesusAcademy.com, where you'll find more in-depth and curated content on the tomb of Christ and the miracle of Holy Fire.
Okay. Oh, wow. It's 8 o'clock. So these talks are supposed to be from like 7 to 8. You know, well, I started a little bit late, so but good thing I put the 2 miracles that I wanted to cover in the beginning, because chronologically, I haven't even started from. Let me show you a few things from the very beginning, as time allows. So,
So much to say,
Yeah.
know, and feel about the Holy
there's a brief timeline here. The right. Well, one thing. So the right of the Holy Fire. So as we have this rite of the Holy Fire from the year 1480 to the present day, it's been pretty much consistent. But prior to 1480, it was what took place prior. It was a little bit different. For one, well, let me just see if I can find that. So prior to what we know as the rite, the ceremony, with the patriarch entering the tomb, that was not exactly how it was done before 1480. So 1,000 years ago, the rite was very different. According to written sources, in the first centuries during which the miracle was recorded, from the 8th to the end of the 15th century, at the time when the holy fire descended from the heavens, there was no one in the interior of the Holy Sepulchre. The monument's entrance was sealed with beeswax in memory of the sealing of the tomb by the Roman guard, and the patriarch remained outside the monument near the entrance, where he recited the specific prayers of Jesus Christ pertaining to the descent of the holy fire. So he was outside the tomb. When the holy fire descended, at once the bluish-white incandescent light became visible and diffused throughout the area. At the same moment, the holy oil lamp was lit, and the tomb's interior became awash with light. This light, according to the testimonies, was immediately visible through the grille or metal grating that stood at the monument's entrance. Inside a completely dark and empty monument, suddenly its interior became awash with light, not only from the illumination of the lamp, but also from the light that came from the rock of the tomb itself. Then the commander of the city, who held the keys to the monument, unlocked the sepulchre for the patriarch to enter. The patriarch then lit his candles from the lamp and emerged, passing the light to the faithful. The specific ritual took place unfailingly for approximately 8 centuries. Written testimonies from around 920 up to the year 1480 confirmed the exact same procedure and left no room for doubt concerning the miracle's validity. Even Muslim residents of the city participated in the rite and transported the holy fire to their homes and mosque. Okay. Let's talk about right here the very first appearance of the holy fire. The miracle of the holy fire took place for the first time at the tomb of Jesus, when at the time of his resurrection, abundant light of incomparable brightness flooded the area. When you read John 20, verse 1 through 7, and then the question is asked, how, while it was still dark, did Peter and John manage to see inside the tomb the linen wrappings with which the body of Jesus had been wrapped? In particular, John, who did not even enter the tomb. The answer is given to us by St. Gregory of Nyssa in his work on the resurrection of Jesus Christ, who writes that those who followed the apostle Peter that night believed in the resurrection because the tomb of Jesus had filled with light, which was not only visible spiritually, but also through the natural senses. Gregory of Nyssa writes, those who were with Peter saw and believed, because the tomb was filled with light, so that even though it was night, they saw the inside of the tomb in 2 ways, with their senses and spiritually. And some of the hymns about this, St. Sophronius of Jerusalem, as a sun, the master rose from the tomb, and with his radiant beams shone into the entire universe. St. John of Damascus. And running, Peter reached the tomb, and seeing the light inside the tomb, he was in awe. Again, St. John of Damascus. On this bright and light-bearing day of Holy Sunday, on which the uncreated light visibly emerges from the tomb as a handsome bridegroom within the beauty of the resurrection. The first miracle of the holy uncreated light occurred precisely when Jesus Christ returned from the world of the dead to be glorified through his resurrection in an unintelligible and unapproachable light. The same light fills the Holy Sepulchre every year during the rite of Holy Saturday. And one more kind of St. Gregory of Armenia, the Illuminator. He circa 257 to 330. So he celebrated September 30th in our church calendar. So the Armenian historian Kyriakos Gonzaketsi, circa 1201 and 1271, in his work History of the Armenians, describes the miraculous illumination of a lamp that was placed in the Holy Sepulchre by Saint Gregory the Illuminator around the year 330. Saint Gregory the Illuminator spearheaded the Christianization of the Armenian nation at the end of the 3rd century, and in the year 302 was ordained the first patriarch of Armenia. Saint Gregory practiced asceticism for a number of years in a cave that was located next to the location where the Holy Cross was found, at a distance of about 70 meters from Jesus' tomb. The exact year in which the event connecting Saint Gregory the Illuminator with the miracle of the Holy Fire took place is not known. If, however, we take into consideration that the building of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre began in the year 326 and the saint died in 331, it is obvious that the event described by the historian took place between 326 and 331, during the period when the Church of the Holy Sepulchre was being built. The Armenian historian writes, they say that St. Gregory placed a lamp over the tomb of Christ, and he beseeched God with his prayers that on the feast of Easter, the place be lit with an immaterial light, something that occurs down to our own day. The lamp placed at the Holy Sepulchre by the saint was miraculously lit by an immaterial light after the saint's prayers to God. And another documentation about St. Gregory from the same historian says that a dispute between the Armenians and the Orthodox Georgians regarding the correct date for Easter. The solution to the dispute finally came from the Holy Fire itself, which lit the vigil lamp on the correct date. This is the quote from the historian. Now, regarding Easter, there was much dispute and argument with the Armenians among all peoples, especially the Georgians. The verdict was to be given by the radiant lamp on the Holy Sepulchre of Christ, which they say, at the request of Gregory the Illuminator of the Armenians, with no assistance from human hands or tangible fire, is lit up by the command of God each Easter. It happens to this day. Again, in this excerpt, the historian again clarifies that the lamp of the Holy Sepulchre was lit after the request of St. Gregory the Illuminator, and that since then the miracle takes place every year by the order of God. So I have many more. Well, if you're interested to learn more, this book right here, in particular, will take you through, all the church being destroyed by the Persians, the church being destroyed by the Caliph of Egypt, the various major historical events throughout the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The Crusades, in fact, during the Crusades, the Crusaders, they try to have the Latin Patriarch do the ceremony and not the Orthodox Patriarch. And so 2 years that the Latin Patriarch was to lead the Holy Fire ceremony, they had problems. The first one, it wasn't until the Crusaders confessed and repented of the atrocities and massacres that they had committed that very belatedly the Holy Fire happened. The second year, it did not happen at all. And so this is a sign of God's displeasure with the Latin Patriarch heading the ceremony, and the Orthodox Patriarch and the Orthodox faithful. Well, once the Latin Patriarch and the Latin faithful departed the Holy Sepulchre and were on a procession to the temple or towards the Temple Mount, as they had already left and they were leaving, the Orthodox patriarch and the Greeks and the Syrians and all the Orthodox faithful came, and the holy fire came when the Latin patriarch had already left, and the Orthodox patriarch came, and the fire was lit. And so as they were leaving, they heard the news, and they came back, and the fire was lit. And then King Baldwin, he says, from now on, the Orthodox are going to head the ceremony, and the Latins are going to have a secondary role only. So you can read all about this, and so. But I thought some of the more amazing ones I could not miss with this presentation was the column being split, and the eyewitness who was so bold to be as a second Apostle Thomas that he could see with his own eyes, and he was able to relate to the patriarch what happened, and we can read about that book. You can read about this. This whole book right here is about that account right here. So, well, for those of you who have visited the Holy Sepulchre, or you want to say anything else? Or?
Oh, I could talk days,
Yes.
so you might not want me to say anything. But everybody believes and talks about the light descending. But I think it was in 2018 or 2019, they were doing reconstruction on the sepulchre.
Yes, yes.
And they had the lid to the tomb off. And so when the ceremony for the Holy Light came, it doesn't descend. What the patriarch saw is deep, deep, deep in the tomb. It starts down there and it comes up.
Yes.
And then when it hits the tomb, then so it's not a normal light. There was this blue incandescent light that just covered everything. It wasn't like a small flame. It was just like covered everything. And then they started talking about that it doesn't descend, it ascends deep, deep, deep from within the tomb, which I thought was interesting. Before the patriarch goes into the tomb, into the sepulchre, he has to disrobe. He has to take off all of his vestments, all of his clothes, because people thought, oh, well, you just take, matches in there. So he has to prove that no, he doesn't. He goes in the tomb, he has nothing on him to prove that holy light is.
Yes, yes. Thank you. I neglected us to make that point. Yeah, the authorities. They inspect and make sure there's no way that a forgery could be made. And in fact, you just reminded me of some other. Two things I want to. As you were saying, Nectarius, was that this is a miracle that takes place on Holy Saturday of the Orthodox. As we know, there's the Catholics and the Protestants celebrate their Easter on a different date. This miracle takes place on Orthodox Holy Saturday. Also, throughout the accounts, I think there's at least 3 accounts where, you heard about the one account where the church had control. They said you're not allowed entry into the church, and still the miracle was not to be denied. Other years, the various different whether it's the Emir of Baghdad or the Sultan of Baghdad or the Caliph of Egypt or what have you. There's different times where the Muslim authority says we're going to prevent the joy of the Christians from being had this year. So we're going to take, instead of a regular wick of the candle, we're going to replace the wick with the metal wick. That way, they're going to be very sad because their miracle is not going to happen, and
God had something else.
But God was just like the column being split. You know, the metal wicks were lit, and the awestruck Muslims were you know they saw this great miracle in front of their eyes that you know, and the Christians were rejoicing that the wick was put at least three times that I read about. Three times they tried to replace the regular wick with metal wicks, and still the miracle happened. And yes, there's lots of history. So you know, I can only just touch on a few very interesting stories. But if you want to read more, you know, please read the one book. But what you just said, Saint Gregory Palamas says. The holy light is not a light that comes and goes, nor is it a light that wells out of Jesus' tomb for a few minutes on Holy Saturday and then is gone. The light of the resurrection, as St. Gregory Palamas says, is never absent from the tomb, though it is not visible to most. The holy light is always present at the Holy Sepulchre. It not illumine mystically and invisibly the souls of those who approach the tomb of Jesus with reverence.
I've seen my light. I call it my, it's not mine. In a bigger candle, but the flame will just all of a sudden shoot up just really, really high. And then it'll come down and then maybe, I don't know, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, it'll shoot way far up again. And when it first starts at home, I turn off all my fans. There's no air moving in my room at all because I don't want to make it not be true. But then pretty soon the flame just shoots up. It's not a normal light. It really isn't. And sometimes I can't say that it's all blue because it's not all blue, but there's a hint of blue in the flame. So, yeah.
Well, I think we'll turn off the live stream here, and so yes.
In the start of the video, the Greek, in Greek, they put the light on his body to another Greek, dude. Now I believe. He's not a believer. Go there.
Yeah.
And try. He said to another Greek, now I believe.
Yeah. So it's divine evidence that you know. Again, the husband and wife, as the video says, you know, the wife prayed that, you know, God, I need a sign from you that help my unbelief. And then she saw something that her husband didn't see. They're both there side by side, but you know, God's providence says, I'm going to answer your prayer and give you a sign that you're going to strengthen your faith. You know, so. Let me turn off the live stream here.